Hey, this is Genesis with Genesis, the beginning of something beautiful. I wanted to come to you with a message today. A message I wanted to talk about, taking accountability and responsibility even when it's not your fault. I had mentioned to you in another tutorial that there was a shaman that had told me that the third dimension is not here for you to master. It's here for you to learn as many lessons as you can and get out of here alive. So, one thing I wanted to talk about is the fact of taking accountability and responsibility even when it's not your fault. In order to have and maintain a system and a cycle, the matriarchy is coming online. The melanated woman is helping to building 5D, in my case, 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, from the downloads that I receive here in this region, my portion of matriarchy. And one thing that I learned is you have to take accountability and responsibility even when it's not your fault. You have to take accountability and responsibility for your life, your actions, your situation, your circumstances, even when it's not your fault. I wanted to mention that. I want to also just mention some stuff that I'm seeing. Okay, I want to break this down. In the black community and during matriarchy, because the black community is a matriarchal society, whether people want to admit that or not, it's the women that were holding up the black community. It's the black women that were holding up the black community. The black women were holding up the black community. It's the black women that were trying to salvage what was left, had been and was remaining and is remaining of the black community. It's the black women that are building the community back up. We were and we are at the forefront of the community when nobody else cared about it. It was us that still cared about it. I want to just talk about a couple of things about the black community. One thing about the black community, black women, there's no such thing as a black woman who's a throwaway from the black community. Think about it. Let me repeat that. There's no such thing as a black woman who's a throwaway of the black community. We keep our dark-skinned crackheads, our rejects, everybody. We keep them, but there's no such thing as a reject black woman of the black community. This is a reason I'm sure that a lot of other people, especially women who are throwaways of their racial communities and throwaways of their nations and things like that, they would be attracted to the matriarchal stance of the black community, the black woman. Who wouldn't want to replace us in our community, because there's no such thing as a black woman who's a throwaway of her nation. There's no such thing as a black woman that's a throwaway of her community, at least not in the third dimension. One thing about matriarchy, when you had matriarchy online, when you had the black woman in the black community, it's the dark-skinned black woman with the locked hair and the curvy body. That's our version of a blonde. But then again, we're not a blonde because we're matriarchy. Now, what happened was, because we're the dominant force, we are a genetic dominant. That being that we're melanated. Secondly, we're female. If you take a simple genetics 101 course, you will find that the female is the genetic dominant. But anyway, because everything you've been taught inverted and backwards due to third dimension white supremacy patriarchy. But it's the black woman, the dark-skinned black woman with the natural hair, the curvy body, the locked hair, more so, that is considered basically like in the matriarchy. She would be our blonde. I would be considered their blonde. But then again, like I said, I'm not, because I'm matriarchy. Now, what happened is that particular being, Andromeda Insectilian, which is one of the genetic dominant bloodlines that would have someone such as myself, is in our genetic DNA to lock our hair and things like that. In the black community, we were attacked. When we came out of 5D matriarchy, our males turned karmic, and they even turned on us and attacked their own bloodline, being us. Not only did they turn, as they say, karmic, they lost their soul, but it was something about them that was genetically inverted. It wasn't just that they had no soul. It's something wrong with our males genetically. There was a genetic inversion that took place. So women like me got attacked, so they don't like their version of a blonde. You understand what I'm saying? the men don't like their version of a blonde because it's matriarchy. And also too, they don't like their version of a blonde, women such as myself, because we were assertive. Because the women of matriarchy, we tend to be more assertive. We don't operate in it's about the sex, it's about the money. So they didn't like that about us. So they pitted certain women from the third dimension, like the Duro, the reptilians, the grays, how it would play out. The insectilians also, so how it would play out in 3D. The men pitted the brunettes against us, the non-black women, the fat women. They pitted these women against us based upon our size, because we were smaller, due to the fact that we're a metaphysical being, a light body being, which is a higher frequency, higher dimensional being, and based upon our skin tone. A lot of times people will use what your strengths are as your weaknesses. They'll use your strengths as your weaknesses. That's what you do in warfare. But it was the dark-skinned woman with the smaller body that is the being that is the superior being. It's not the bigger being. It's not the lighter skinned being. It's the darker skinned woman with the locked hair, the curvy body. That's the superior being, because she's Andromeda insectilian. Insectilians, we predicate ourselves upon systems, above systems. The full Andromedan, she allowed us to do that. She allowed the full Andromedan is a purebred being. That would be someone like Donda West or Sophia Stewart. Those are your full Andromedans. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women. Now, myself, I'm a hybrid because I have insectilian on my recessive side. The full Andromedans, a lot of them in America, they tend to be geniuses. Like Sophia Stewart, a mathematician. I think Dr. Donda West, Kanye West's mom, she had a PhD. They're brilliant, Excuse me, let me turn my fan on, because I'm getting hot. They're brilliant. So what happened was the full Andromedan, they genetically sliced their Andromedan and put insectilian on its recessive side. Anything that mates with the Andromedan is going to always go on the recessive side, because the Andromedan is the dominant genetic. So that's how someone like me was created, Andromeda insectilian. I'm a hybrid, and I'm a classic being. I have a lot of that DNA in me. Like, I have a lot of that genetic in me. Sometimes you'll see people that have certain specific bloodlines and genetics, and they have a lot of that in them. It's like very precise, So if I was a woman in 3D, let's say I was a white woman in a system of white supremacy, I would be like a natural blonde. Like blonde with blue eyes and size 0, So in the matriarchy, because everything is an inversion, and everything is inverted or uninverted, and there's always polarities and dualities. So in the matriarchy, you would see me, and I'm way more of a melanated woman with a curvier, thicker body, with kinky 4C hair, And also I have this it's like a downloading portal on my head. A lot of people think that this is a birthmark or whatever, but it's actually a downloading portal where I get a lot of my downloads and things like that. And it's genetically coded on me. It's part of my genetic coding or whatever. And it's on me to get the downloads and things. Because what happened is, it's the Andromeda insectilian that gets that we hold the blueprints for matriarchy. We hold the strategy and the blueprints for matriarchy and for war during the matriarchy. And they hid it in us because they figured we had insectilian on the recessive. They put insectilian on our recessive side, and it's the Andromeda insectilian that they hid it in. So therefore, people wouldn't, let me not get into that. I don't want to give. I can't talk about everything. So anyway, it's not this that information is not for everybody to know. So anyway, because I'm telling too much. Okay, so anyway, like I was saying, in the black community, it's the black woman, the dark skinned woman, the dark skinned woman with the locked hair and the curvier body. That's our version of a blonde. But then we're not, because we're matriarchy. So our men did not like that. They don't like us. It's the opposite, because they saw us as assertive, and they've been inverted by patriarchy. And truth be told, the Andromedan insectilian men, the men from our bloodlines, they want to be that being. Okay, so what happened, and you'll also see like the brunette from patriarchy. Okay, a lot of them are insectilian based as a collective. So what you'll see, the brunette in white supremacy patriarchy, she's insecure as a collective because she had to play second to the blonde. You know, keep in mind the system is inverted. So she had to play second to the blonde, like she was lesser than the blonde, and the blonde was the dominant. But really, the blonde is the recessive, and the brunette, in comparison to the blonde, was a dominant. But they flipped it in a 3D patriarchy because it was backwards. So she's always, as a collective, had a complex about herself, the brunette, or felt lesser than, because she was the brunette. She was secondary. The black man in patriarchy and the black man in matriarchy, he felt secondary to us because we were the dominant being. He grew tired of, us being in the dominant position in matriarchy. So both of them are on the same page, the same level. So when matriarchy came online, they was hoping to dominate over us, but no, that's not your system. Let me tell you something. What you'll see with the non-melanated woman from patriarchy and the black man from matriarchy, they're so much alike. Both of them are soulless. Both of them are genetically inverted in some sort of way. They are a lower field being genetically. Both of them, like a lot of the ones that are throwaways, the non-black women and from white supremacy patriarchy, for instance, the ones that are throwaways of their communities, is a reason for that. The non-black woman from patriarchy is a throwaway of her community or of her nation, because she can't keep up with patriarchy. You understand what I'm saying? She's too slow to even keep up with her own system. And a lot of them too, they judge women in patriarchy. Maybe they weren't pretty enough or attractive enough, but yet they were manipulative, conniving, wanted to dominate. So they were rejects. It could be a few reasons, but you'll see a lot of them, they're too slow in some type of way to even keep up with their own system. This is what happened in the black community with the black man. And I'm talking as a collective. For instance, my bloodline, the Andromeda insectilian bloodline, he was too slow to keep up with matriarchy. It's like they can't even suck on the tit of their own system. Even if they didn't have a soul, they should have been able to at least latch on to their system. But he was too slow to even, like I said, suck on the tit of matriarchy. So what happens is both of them, the non-black woman, the black man, they can't even, these two entities who can't even latch on to the system that they were birthed from, they end up with each other and they're trying to use each other's systems. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's one thing. So the thing is, when matriarchy came online, they saw that we had a dominant position, and the black man and the non-black woman, who was a throwaway of her community and her nation, they both wanted our position. He's a boy in the system of patriarchy. She's a girl or a gal in the system of, he's a boy in his system, in the system of patriarchy. She's considered a girl or a gal. But if she gets with him, the black man, she's considered a girl and a gal. And this is part of the codes of white supremacy. This is according to their codes. So the thing is, if you can't, we have a dominant system in matriarchy, the melanated woman. That's 5D. They can't even follow the 3D script. You understand what I'm saying? The non-black woman in the system of white supremacy, she can't even, as a collective, if she was a throwaway, she can't even latch on to her own system. The black man in matriarchy, he can't even latch on to his own system as a collective. So if they can't even suck on the tit of their own system, how the hell are they going to dominate, run, and lead a system? How the hell are they going to manifest? For instance, look at the choices divine, so-called divine masculine, I call them masculine. Look at the choices that he's made. He saw a fucking Duro reptilian as a fucking level up, an insectilian. A reptilian. I mean, if he was going to do what he did in patriarchy, he should have just chose the reptilian. You know why? Because they are the ones that's taking over the remainder of 3D. It doesn't make, I mean, it's ridiculous. They're slow. So because it's funny because they can't even, they're barely a boy or a girl, let alone to be in a position that the matriarchy is in the power position that someone like me is in my system. They can't even follow a system. How are they going to dominate, create, regenerate, and build a whole cycle and a whole system? They're not going to be able to do it. What happened was they see the Andromeda and Sectilian, such as myself, in position. They see that I have power, and they see that we're getting attention. Okay, I could give a fuck less about having attention or whatever. I could care less. Right now, black women, yes, we are the focus. You know, they're making more bronzers and more foundations for us than ever before. Thank you. But they know that we're going to come up. They know that we're coming up. You know, just the other day, my husband was like, he was telling me, wow, black women are really coming up fast now, aren't they? I'm like, yeah, wow, because it was such a long time in the making. So I just wanted to talk about those things, but you have to do the work. That's my point. What the masculine, let's just talk about him. I don't even want to focus on, the devil's daughters. You know what I'm saying? Fuck those hoes. They can kiss my black ass because those hoes want to be the black woman all motherfucking day long. That's what she mad about now. But be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. It's not a good thing to be me in the third dimension. I'm the most subjugated, the most rejected, neglected, disrespected motherfucker in that system. Why would you want to be something that everyone hates? Why would you want to be something that everyone despises, that everyone is jealous and envious of? You understand what I'm saying? The black man as a collective hates us so much, he wants to see who we are and our identity on another bitch who is not even us. He wants to see a watered down version of us because he doesn't measure up to us. Because he can't even suck on the tit of matriarchy. Let alone follow our system. Let alone have a system. It's just ridiculous. Don't you think when Nefertiti was training her son, King Tut, to be a king, he had to know how to follow matriarchy. Therefore, she was able to teach and train her son how to be a king. Our men, they ain't nowhere near there. And he was a teenager when she did that. So that shows you how advanced he was and how fucked up our men are today. So as a collective, okay? So I just wanted to talk about this. My point to what I'm saying, all that I'm saying, you have to take accountability and responsibility for your life. You see these entities, the black men as a collective, the non-black women who are throwaways of their community, the ones that are throwaways of their community, they don't want to do any work. It's not enough to just get your ass done and get your titties done and get your hair braided to the back to look like us. They don't want to do any work, and then they want to just play. They want to use each other, and they were playing each other for my position. And they both lost, and they lost big. Now, see, when you play that game with a female, though, like the masculine did, his ego and his sexual deviant nature led him to fuck with this woman of 3D. Okay, thinking that they could use each other. 0 plus 0 equals 0, sweetie. Once again, do the math, because you're so slow. 0 plus 0 equals 0. And when you play a game like that with a female, the female is always going to win. The woman is always worse. You understand what I'm saying? Hell has no fury like a woman scorn. So that's why the bitch is mad and she about to kick your ass and kill your ass and all the shit she do. Because she needs resources. She got with you because she need resources. A symbol of wealth. What wealth? The wealth that she stole from your bloodline that you did not protect? See, you need to check yourself. You understand what I'm saying? You need to check yourself. And the problem with you're not taking accountability and responsibility. You got to start from scratch. You got to work at it. They want to be able to come into our matriarchy and shit and fuck and bring their hoes and do no work. And then exterminate me the Andromeda Insectillion, and then have some fat Duro as your husband. And our men, they wanted to be a lesbian. You're supposed to be a male. What these men want to do, they want to be something that's, in their perception, higher than a female, but lower than a man. What that is, I don't know, but look, it's just ridiculous. So that's all I wanted to talk about. You have to take accountability and responsibility, and you have to do the work. And this is why they're losing. And this is why we're winning. This is why the black woman is winning. We're taking accountability. We're taking responsibility, even when it's not our fault. After we've been mistreated, all the adversity we went through, we're taking accountability and responsibility. We're educating ourselves. We became #1 in graduating and enrolling in college, right about now. We're doing the work, and it's finally paying off. It's so many people, they just want to be able to jump in. No, that's not, as you can see, that's not happening. The black woman is strong. We've persevered. Okay? We have our strength that's beyond anything that I even thought I had in myself. We're mighty. We're resilient. We're logical. Black dark-skinned women and black women are rational. We're thinkers. We stay on our toes. We're coming up with solutions. And black women are solving problems. What the fuck are you doing? And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. This is Genesis, the beginning of something beautiful. Once again, I just had to come to you with this tutorial. Thank you so much. Once again, I want to thank everyone who supports the United. Excuse me. I want to thank everyone who's in support of me, supporting the Genesis United Negro Help a Queen Fund. I take donations, okay? I take kind words and gestures. And that's it. That's just what I wanted to say. But, I've learned many lessons from living in the third dimension. Many lessons. I could go on and on. Yeah. One of the most valuable lessons also, I'm going to say this and I'm going to go, that I've learned is how valuable and rare and precious having a soul is. And that's nothing to be played with or forfeited or sold. Having a soul, especially in the third dimension, is the most valuable, precious thing for any living being to be able to have. I understand why other extraterrestrials would be jealous of entities like me, because we have a soul. And I also learned that you can forget about that. You can forget about the value of having a soul. I used to be so mad and angry in my past because I felt like people forgot about my value and my worth because I was a black, dark-skinned woman. But you know what? I forgot about how valuable it was and the worth of a soul. I lost sight. That's not any excuse. But I'm getting that sight back. And so, without a soul, you're very limited. I understand now. I've learned why these entities want to dominate. If you didn't have a soul, what would you have to live for? All you would have to live for is dominating something or the illusion of dominating. But you wouldn't be able to manifest or do any, it's just sad. You wouldn't be able to manifest anything. Without a soul, you really don't have nothing to look forward to. So you would make the third dimension your heaven. That's why they're fighting for dominance, even though they don't do the work, even though they're incapable of doing and what I have done and what I can do and what I'll continue to be doing for eternity. All I have to do is just be. I have a identity. I have a platform. I have a foundation. I don't have to steal from anybody else. But there's so many entities I've learned that don't have that. They don't have a true identity. They don't have a genetically built-in downloading system right here. That God touched me with the anointing. Okay? God touched me with the anointing. When he touched me, he gave me that God energy. Or she gave me that God energy. God's creation keeps creating. And I'm so grateful for that. I was born with something so special right here. So special. And I still don't know a whole lot about this, but I know it has a lot to do with my melanin. And I know it has a lot to do with why I was the queen of the fifth dimension. Okay? Of this, in this region. And at this point, I just don't take shit for granted. That's all I'm saying. And this downloading center right here, this where I get, I guess you can call them my loading portal where the ancestors pour into me. This makes me so beautiful. It really does. I think so. It makes me so gorgeous, so beautiful. And eventually, y'all gonna go out and get this too. Y'all gonna go to your hairdressers, go to your beauticians and tell them that you want this. Okay, y'all, that's what y'all do. Every time I go do something, y'all go do it. That's okay though. You know, imitation is the best flattery. So that's all I wanted to say. And once again, this is Genesis, with Genesis, the beginning of something beautiful. Okay? All Genesis all the time. And, you know, the Genesis United Negro Help a Black Queen Fund.